Okay, got the Caroma Scooter here, and this thing does 32 kilometers an hour. So I'm gonna do the figuring. I'll put it up on the screen and tell you what the max speed is on this. And I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. So this has a ton of torque. It's actually pretty comfortable, very economical, but the one thing I am gonna try to modify to make it a little bit better for a riding experience, this is a piece of cake for younger, lighter kids. Now, I've had a lot of people try this. They absolutely love it. They want to use it as like a commuter if you live close to your work, if you're on a college campus, or you just want to scoot around the neighborhood. This is a really good option. Now, here's the problem I've run into. This seat, you can do whatever you can to try to get this tight. Now, if I latch this down, go ahead, lock it in place like a regular bike seat. We do have enough strength, and I'm going to make a little modification to this so this can get tighter even more so. But the seat still has a lot of play in it. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can make any type of adjustment here by loosening this up. We're going to pull the seat off, and let's see what we can do to keep this thing from wanting to slide back and forth. Because when you sit on it, you put a lot of pressure on it. Now the seat's actually really comfortable, but there is a ton of movement. Let's see if I can show. Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can actually torque this down significantly tighter so that we can get this seat to feel like you're still using your suspension, your actual coils here in your seat cushion. Otherwise, I may need to buy a different seat post so that I have a whole different seat entirely, but I actually like the width of this seat. It's very comfortable for an adult size seat. I think this is great. It's got a lot of cushioning. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this up, just make a couple modifications, and then let's go cruise around and let's see what we really think of this Caroma Scooter. Okay, so this scooter does have a weight capacity of, I think, around 265 pounds. So we are towards the end of, I think, the capacity of this scooter. Now, I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I think I've said that a couple times in this video. I do have a welder, and I think that's my last resort, is I could weld the actual frame post to the scooter itself. That would never go up and down, never be adjustable. And I could certainly lay a bead of weld inside this actual seat mechanism so that you couldn't adjust the seat leaning it forward or backward. I do like that there's adjustability, but this thing, I think, for the most part, is going to be manageable if I just really torque down this hardware. It takes a lot of pressure to move this seat around, and or it doesn't take a lot of pressure to actually have the seat adjust on its own. So I'm going to really torque down these pieces of hardware to see if we can keep this thing from moving. Last thing you want to do is feel like you're not stable when you're riding something. So that's why I grabbed a couple 13 millimeter open-end box wrenches, and I really reefed on them to try to get these nuts to clamp down on the force of the adjustability on the seat. And hopefully we can see that there is a little bit more stability. I sit right about here for comfort. Ultimately, I'd like it to sit like here, just because I'm a bigger rider. I'm taller, I've got longer legs, but I really have to tighten up the actual adjustment here for the bracket. I'm wondering if I bend these brackets in, if that'll help me get what I want. There's a lot of thread to this though, so maybe we've got a chance we can make a necessary modification just with a vice grip. So the thing that we had to do is really put some pressure on this bolt for the seat height adjustability. Now you've got a plastic thread or a plastic tube that is what you're clamping down against with your seat post. So on some other bikes, you're actually just clamping metal on metal, and that's not as slippery. So this really needed to be adjusted to a point where I'm really squeezing that seat post with this actual device that we can hopefully put enough force on it that the seat post won't go up and down or won't slide around when you're actually riding it. Now, again, this isn't as big of a problem if you've got a little kid riding on this thing, but if you really want to be able to enjoy it and ride it as a heavier rider, and I'd say somebody that's probably over 80 pounds, you're going to want to make this adjustment. You're going to want to really tighten this down. Now, I did see that there's plenty of thread, and that's where I'm actually tightening this nut. So I'm spinning that thread, and there's plenty left over. But that's going to give me that clamping force to get this seat locked in, so it's a little bit more comfortable, reliable ride. Well, gonna put it on the ground now. Let's make sure it feels like it is as straight as possible to the frame, because once I clamp this down, I'm hoping this thing will not move. All right, I'm not gonna put pressure on it. That seat's definitely high. Yeah, it feels good. We're gonna give this a little tweak. That looks pretty straight. Now, we've got this thing nice and tight. If I can manage to get this to go and actually put clamping force on the seat post. It might not be enough yet, just for my weight. Oh, wow, okay. Seat doesn't move now. We've got definitely suspension play. You know, our springs are functioning, but now the seat's not wiggling around on me. Feels good. Feels really good. Okay, guys. Simple adjustments. You know, you definitely want to be sure you get your hardware as tight as possible on stuff like this. Now, obviously, it's going to be really hard to adjust this on the fly, but if you've got enough muscle to it, we can open this up, and now I'll be able to just slide this down to a different position. So if somebody is a little bit shorter, wants to ride on this, we've got that tension, that strength now, and I think the seat post is going to stop moving around on me, which is awesome. This does have a headlight. It's got a brake light, front and rear. They are disc brakes, wire or cable driven. They're not hydraulic, but all around, this thing has been super, super enjoyable. Or we do have some pneumatic tires, so I'm going to go ahead and top these off with the appropriate tire pressure. Looks like 35 to 45 psi. So let's go ahead and get these things filled up, and let's go take it for a rip in the driveway. I'll show you guys how well this pulls a 200-pound guy around. Okay, here's another little helpful tip. So I've got the tires filled up to 45 psi. So now we are kind of at the max pressure for the tire. That's going to be a lot better for my weight rider. Now, a lot of people run into problems with their tires slowly losing air, especially on new stuff. You want to make sure you check your valve core. So if you grab a tool like this, a lot of times you can get valve stem covers that have a little tool built into them. That's obviously super cheap. That's probably the most economical way. Look around at your other stuff that you have. If you have one of those, you can go ahead and you slide that over your valve core until it sits down in the seat. And you just want to make sure your valve core is tight, because that's another avenue or another place where you could slowly lose air if it's not tightened in enough. So I'm just verifying that these are snugged up, because you never know. And that's another way where you could lose your tire pressure. All right, so the rear one was a little bit loose. Front one was nice and snug, so I'm glad I checked. We've got suspension up in the front, headlight, little rack, batteries charged up. Got 2 sets of keys, which is awesome. Our brakes feel pretty dialed. They're nice, quick reacting brakes. You've got the ability to kick on a headlight, turn your headlight off. Got your horn. I did adjust the rear brakes, the fronts, or adjust the front brakes. The rears have felt good just right from the factory. So we are dialed in, ready to take this for a little rip. Let's go do it. Okay, we're going to start off on Eco. Hit the top speed in the driveway on Eco. We're going to go to, I think it's called Tour. That's your middle mode. And then Sport, the fastest. So we're starting off on Eco. Take it for a little rip. Oh, this is a really good option. Basically 10 kilometers is our max speed on Eco. Now we're going to go on to Tour. 20 kilometers is tour. Now we are on sport. Seat still feels pretty good, nice and sturdy. I think I could maybe tighten up the adjustment where the seat can move this way. Oh, bump the horn. Let's go ahead and feel what sport feels like. Can't even get to the top speed in the driveway. Definitely would have to get out on the street again. When I went down to the shop, it's a little bit downhill. We did 32 kilometers an hour. And this thing has got a lot of torque. So I did make it work really hard pulling me uphill, up the dirt road. So you've got your rocks, you're spinning on the rocks, you got your dirt issue and your incline. And the battery did actually drop down. So we put a significant load on the battery, got it up on the driveway, and the battery came back to 3/4, almost full health. And we've been driving it a little bit. I have not charged it in a little while, and it's been getting used quite a bit. So battery life, in terms of the amount of time, I'd say it's really impressive. Keep pushing. Sure, yeah, there we go. 48.2 volts. I'm gonna take it for a little zip down the road, see what we can get for top speed. 32.1 kilometers an hour top speed. Doesn't matter if you're going downhill, you're on a flat surface, it hits that top speed, and that is all in what it can do. Nice that you've got a key, so you've got a little bit of security. You can take that with you, lock it up. I'm a huge fan of this very nice scooter. Would definitely recommend it. Feels really stout, really reliable. It's got a lot of torque. That EV torque is awesome on this thing, especially for pulling somebody like me, 6'1", 200 pounds. I cannot recommend it anymore.